this is Trista. Welcome to Zero Casualties and to another recipe. Today we're going to take a page out of my favorite Mexican cookbook, The Taste of Mexico. It's from 1986. And this is a Pan de Muerto, or bread for the dead. It's a very special scented loaf. It has a ton of eggs in it, and it has flavors like anise, orange extract. I'm gonna be using lemon today as I forgot to buy some oranges, but it's going to be really delicious. And so let's get into the very first step of this bread. So we're gonna start this bread with a half a cup of warm water and then almost an ounce of dry instant yeast. So we're gonna put that in there. And then, oops, I forgot my whisk. We're gonna mix that up real quick. This is gonna be kind of the base quick starter for our bread, because we're supposed to put this in a warm place for a couple minutes, and then we're going to mix it with flour. All right, let me set this aside and I'll be right back for the second step. Now we're going to add in 6 to 8 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. We're kind of creating a starter for the dough because we're supposed to let this sit in a warm place for a little bit until it doubles. Doesn't say exactly how long, but I might set a timer for a few minutes. Since I only make this once a year, I kind of forget. But I will set this aside. I'm gonna put a little towel on it. We'll set it aside for, I'm gonna try about 15 minutes and see if it's looking like it's doubling or if it'll take longer. And then we'll get on with the rest of the dough. Welcome back. So after 15 minutes, this did rise up wonderfully. This is the yeast, water, and flour mixture, so it's nice and jiggly and bubbly and wonderful. So that is ready to go. So we're gonna move on to the next part of the recipe, forming the dough. And then this is gonna sit out overnight with a towel on it for 12 hours. So the flavors have a chance to meld really well. So we're going to mix together the rest of the flour, which is about 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And then 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. Then we're gonna add the salt, half a teaspoon. I always use kosher salt. It's my favorite one. So we wanna kind of stir these together and get them nice and mixed up. So we are going to be adding the egg yolks. So there are 8 egg yolks here. And I forgot to crack the eggs. So we're gonna add 3 eggs. The last egg we're gonna save for the glaze that we're gonna do tomorrow when we put together the loaf. So I'll save that one out for tomorrow, but we are gonna use these. You might wanna have some recipes ready for the egg whites, because you're gonna have 8 egg whites left over because I separated them all for these egg egg yolks. So we're gonna put 3 whole eggs in here along with the 8 egg yolks. It's supposed to be really nice and rich. Then we're going to put some softened butter. I have half a cup of unsalted butter here. Oh, I'm sorry, shoot. I'm gonna need to stop for 1 second. I'll be right back because it says 1 cup, not half a cup. I'm gonna go soften more butter. I will be right back. All right, so let's put in our 1 cup of butter instead of half a cup. So I am getting very excited about this bread. When I lived in Mexico as an exchange student, the Day of the Dead was really fun. We went to some markets where they sold a lot of sugar figures and all kinds of beautiful decorations. It's a very colorful time of year. So I love that. So this is actually a half a cup of shortening. The original says lard, and you may do that if you want. I'm not a person, I don't usually use lard too often. And I want to keep this recipe vegetarian. So we're going to use the shortening in there. Then we're going to add, this time I have lemon peel. Just a grated rind of 1 lemon, about a tablespoon. Normally you'd put orange rind in there, but it'll still have a really lovely flavor. I just forgot to buy an extra orange. And then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of orange blossom extract or orange extract, whichever you can find. And then 3 tablespoons of anise extract, kind of a licorice flavor. It's funny because I normally don't really like licorice flavors all that much, but in this bread, along with the citrus and all the richness, it just really works. So we also, at the end, want to add our milk. We're gonna add 6½ tablespoons. I'm gonna hold back just a tiny bit of this because I accidentally measured 7½ in this bowl, so I'll just save a little bit. I think it's saving a bit for the the glaze. So I'll put that in the fridge for later, for tomorrow. So this is gonna take a little while to mix up because it's got that butter and shortening in there. I usually just mix it by hand. You can use a machine if you want, but I really just like to be able to mix things by hand unless it's really necessary to use a stand mixer. It's great, especially for egg whites and things like that, though. And some longer kneading times, it's really good for that as well. This is a very, very sticky dough and very flavorful. It smells amazing, like a lot of citrus. So I'm just trying to get that butter and the shortening incorporated really well. Don't want it to be too lumpy. So after we get this mixed up, oh, that's the thing, you know what? I just realized something I had forgotten in this recipe. That you notice how sticky this dough is, and it doesn't call for a lot of flour. I had forgotten you actually do need to add a lot, and I forgot to make a note on the original recipe because it says at this point knead briefly, but there's no way because it's like a cake batter right now. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and add a little bit more flour. So I'll be right back. We're adding 2 more cups of flour. Not sure if that's gonna be enough or not, but do not worry. On the final write-up of the recipe, when I write it in the description box, I will let you know how much flour we need total to make sure that the dough works well. This is already looking better, so that we'll actually be able to knead it rather than stir it like a cake batter. That's looking better. And after this, we're gonna be adding in this yeast mixture, but I want to get a little bit of flour on the board there, because what I'm gonna do is test it out by getting it down here for kneading and then see if we need to add any more flour. So that was 2 extra cups. So a total of 4 cups plus the little bit that we put in with the yeast. So let's see how this works. And we can always add in more flour. I'm gonna get a little bit more in this cup here. Let's be a little generous here and do that. Okay. See the kneadability of this. A new term. Let's see how that goes. So do any of you like to make sweetbreads or flavored breads at all? Are you new to bread making? It's something I do every week with my sourdough. I love baking bread. I used to make a lot more sweet things, but now I make a little more savory for the most part. So this is still pretty sticky. So that is another cup of flour. So 3 extra cups there. And I think we're finally on to something here. However, once we add that yeast mixture, we might even have to add more flour. So I will keep track of that. Okay, it just said knead briefly. So we're supposed to add the yeast mixture and then knead dough until smooth and elastic. And this is gonna add even more liquid. It's like adding a sourdough starter in here. So again, more flour. Because in order to be able to knead that, we're going to need to add more. Okay. Let us see how this comes together. It's splooshing a lot, but let's get that nice and incorporated. It's looking more like a regular dough now. I'm getting those butter and shortening pieces mixed in. It's looking a lot more cohesive, isn't it? So, yes, I think they must have miswritten the original recipe, because all the other ingredients work, but I had forgotten that it needs a lot of extra flour. So let's make sure that is nice and smooth before we put it to rest for the evening. Okay, I think that this looks like a really nice smooth dough. What do you think? I think that looks beautiful. You can see the lovely rich yellow color because of the egg yolks. So I'm going to show you the last step, getting it in the bowl and getting it tucked in for an evening of rest. I'll be right back for that step. Okay, so we are back. I actually washed out the bowl that we mixed everything in, and I sprayed it with pan spray. You can use oil or butter if you'd like as well. So we have that, and then it actually asks you to spread. I have some softened butter here, and it actually asks you to spread that on top, maybe to keep it moist or something. So I just have a tablespoon or two here of softened butter. Just gonna kind of put that on top. It's a nice layer, maybe a little face mask for the bread as it sleeps. So we're gonna do that. Makes your hands really greasy, but that's all right. And then we're gonna gingerly take a little towel. It can dream of Paris. So let us get that all tucked in for the night, and it's gonna sit overnight for 12 hours before we do our next step. I will see you then. Hello, welcome back. This is the next day, and you can see our dough is beautifully risen. Actually at 7:30 this morning, I put this in the fridge so it wouldn't overproof, and it's looking beautiful. So our next step is to shape the bread into 2 loaves, put the little dough decorations on, and then we're gonna put an egg wash on it and let it rise before it bakes. So I'll be back to show you that step. So we are over here at the floured board for our, or floured mat for our dough here. And excuse me, we are going to make the little decorations first, and then we will divide the dough in half and roll it out and get the decorations on. So let's see which decorations we need. I'm looking here in the instructions. We need 2 2-inch balls, and I have my handy tape measure here in the kitchen. I actually like to keep this here because it helps me measure things. So I'm gonna pinch off a little bit of dough and see if I can make sure and get that about 2 inches. A nice smooth ball. Let's see if that's looking to be about 2 inches here. Okay. I think that's not too bad. So we'll set that aside. I'm gonna make 1 more of those. Sometimes it's okay to eyeball it a little bit. So I want that nice and smooth. This dough is nice and mellowed out and smooth now. You can see how beautiful it is. And I think that's looking pretty good. So those are our top decorations for the circles. And then we're gonna make 8 2-inch strips. So just kind of like this. Roll it that way. So that might be a little too much. Yeah. So make it a little bit shorter, but about like this. So we're gonna need 8 of those. I'm gonna do this off camera to save a little bit of time, and then we'll come back to the decorating and the egg wash. I'll be right back with those. Okay, we are back, and I had forgotten to knead the dough a little bit, so I did that. And as I was shaping these, I kneaded them a little bit. But as you can see, we have our 2 bigger 2-inch balls for the tops of the bread. Then we have the 8 2-inch strips, and then the smaller 8 1-inch balls here. So those will be our decorations. And what we need to do next, I like to use this dough or bench scraper as it's called, and divide this in half. See how nice the dough looks. So we're gonna set this one aside, and we're going to make about a 6-inch circle, more or less. So it says roll out, so I'm gonna kind of form a ball first. Then we're gonna roll it out a bit. Not super flat, but I think, yeah, these circles here on my board show 6 inches, so I just need to roll it out a tiny bit more. So this is what you're going for, a 6-inch circle. And we're gonna set that on our baking tray. I have this lined with a Silpat, but you can use parchment paper if you would like. Either one works. So we're gonna make another 6-inch circle from this, and they might be slightly different sizes, but they're gonna be fairly even loaves. And we're going to roll that out into our 6-inch circle. Then it'll be time to place it here again. So now I have 2. Now let's decorate these. So we want a circle in the middle of each, that placed on top. And then excuse me, according to the instructions, we need to decorate their circumference with 1-inch balls and strips. So kind of place them. You can either kind of do this and this. Actually, I think that is the right way. So if you need to elongate this a little bit, that's fine. Just kind of evenly place them around. Make sure that's in view there for you. So we're almost making kind of a crown-like thing here. And it's okay to work with the shape a little bit so that we make sure and get these evenly around. And after we have the decorations on, we're gonna put the egg wash on before we let this rise another hour before we bake it. So more or less evenly get these distributed around. There we go. Take some time to figure out how to get it all evenly distributed here. Do you like making sweetbreads or decorated breads? They're a lot of fun to make for special occasions like this. It's a nice time of year to remember our loved ones and friends that have passed on. We can even have a photo of them and place the bread near the photo to remember them. on this day. All right, so this is what the decorated loaf looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and do the second one, and I'll come back and show you how to make the egg wash and get that on there. Be right back. So I realized that these decorations are for both loaves. So I'm actually going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. So it's just supposed to be 4 per loaf. Oops. Goes to show you, I just do this once a year, so sometimes I forget. It's all right. We're just gonna redistribute these. All of a sudden the tray was empty and I thought, oh dear, oops. Did not do that right. I made it extra fancy on the one. Okay, I thought, well, I don't have anything to decorate with the second one. So let's start that over. So this is actually how you want it. Even the teachers make mistakes. It's all right. So yeah, we're just gonna, it actually makes it easier to distribute these. Just put 4 per loaf. I'm gonna scooch this one over a little bit so it has a little more room. All right, there we go. All right, this is actually what they're supposed to look like, beg your pardon. So actually, now that we're done with that very quickly, now that we've corrected our mistake, we're gonna go right into the egg wash. Now I have about a tablespoon of whole milk here, 1 whole egg, and then 1 egg yolk. And we're gonna mix that up really well. This is gonna be our egg wash that we're gonna brush on the loaves before we let them have a 1-hour rising time before the oven. All right, so we're gonna use this. I like to use these silicone brushes because then you don't accidentally get bits of the brush on the bread, which sometimes happens with the regular brushes. So let's get all that on there. There will be another type of glaze that we put on right before the end of baking, but I will show you that one later. So yeah, we want to make sure and glaze the decorations. It might move a little bit, it's okay, and the actual loaf itself. So you have one for your house and one to share, which is always nice. So there might be some of this left over, which is totally fine. You could make scrambled eggs out of it or use it for another bread. All right, just want to make sure I get everything coated. All right, so I'm gonna be covering this with a towel and we'll let it rise for 1 hour. I'll be back when it's risen and we'll get it ready for the oven. Hey, we are back. I actually let these rise for at least an hour and a half, maybe around 2 hours, because I realized the dough was cold out of the fridge. So I've let them rise quite a bit, and now we are ready to bake them. And so I have my oven at 375 degrees. I'm gonna bake these for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then I'll show you how to make the glaze for them. And then we'll get the sugar on, bake them a little longer and then put more sugar on. So I will see you for the glaze in just a moment. Let me get these in this oven here. And I'll set the timer for 30 minutes and I'll see you over at the stove for the glaze. So here we are making a glaze for the bread. I'm kind of making this up ahead. It is 1 tablespoon of flour, and then I have an egg and 2 egg yolks. I actually put a little bit of that extra egg wash that I had in there. So as you can see, this recipe is very egg heavy. We're gonna make this really thick glaze that will help hold the sugar on the bread. So in the interest of time, I'm gonna kind of make this off camera a bit, but I will come back when it's thickened up. Now you can see the mixture is really thickened up. It's gonna adhere to the bread really well and keep that sugar on there. I like to put turbinado sugar on the outside of the spread. You can use regular granulated sugar as well, but I like the extra size and sparkle it gives to it. So I will come back in a little bit when the bread is ready to be glazed. Hey, I'm just about to glaze these beautifully browned loaves. They've gotten huge. I'm gonna set this down for a moment, but we're going to glaze these and sugar these, so I will show you what that looks like in just a moment. Okay, so we're about to glaze these, and this is to get the sugar to stick. I ended up having to bake these a little extra because they were a little doughy in the middle. So we're gonna get this sugar on now. So you can see this glaze is really, really thick, and I'm gonna get it all over there, and I'm gonna sprinkle some turbinado sugar on here. These smell heavenly. Smells so good. So basically you do the glaze, you get the sugar on. Oop, I gotta get this guy here. And then you bake it just a tiny bit longer and sugar it again, just to get all that good stuff on there. It's gonna look so pretty. I think because these loaves were so dense, they took a while to bake fully, but that's totally fine. And yes, here we go. That glaze is looking great. All right, gets plenty of sugar on there. I love this really pretty kind of sparkly turbinado sugar. All right, so we will also give these a second sugaring in a moment, but I'm gonna get those back in there for 5 more minutes and we'll be right back. So here are the finished loaves. I'm gonna put a little bit more sugar on these as per the instructions. So I'm gonna let these cool down a little bit, get some beautiful photos of these, and then we will do our tasting a little bit later on. So thank you for joining me, and make sure and check out, oops, the tasting at the end where we all give our opinion of this delicious bread. And I might have to eat this piece because it keeps falling off. Okay, thank you. I'll see you in a little bit. Hey everybody, we're here to taste the Pan de Muerto, or Day of the Dead bread.
It smells like oranges.
Yeah, there's some orange extract in there.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a big piece because it's got the most sugar on it.
Awesome.
You want some of this?
Yeah, it does. Start off a little piece.
Yeah, there you go. Ooh.
Kind of big, yeah.
It feels like pound cake or something.
Oh, yeah.
You getting it delicious?
Oh, yeah. Let's try this. Nice and light and
Mmm.
soft.
I get the citrus and I like the orange flavor a lot. I like the
The sugar.
it kind of reminds me of like a Danish,
Yeah, it is a lot like a
because this is really nice and soft.
Yeah, it's nice and soft and squishy.
To be honest, I haven't really been a huge fan of Pan de Muertos.
Yeah,
Not really my thing.
no worries. Yeah,
It's okay though.
I totally get it. Actually tastes much better if you toast it and put a little butter on it. I mean, I love it like this too, but yeah,
I'm a fan.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.